Welcome to Commander Pop Culture, a place to gather magical information with some laughs, might I add.
Hello everyone. So you want to build Mikey and Leo. Well, I might have the list for you. I think the main draw of this guy is you're trying to max out drawing a card on every single turn, because whenever we throw a counter on something, we do so, but it can only happen once a turn. So it poses a unique build challenge where it's not as easy as it looks. There are only a handful of cards that just enable this on their own. So you have to be kind of creative if you want to increase the consistency just a little bit more. Game changers wise, our commander only costs 2 mana, so I think getting him out as soon as possible is important. Like Chrome Mox, Mox Amber, and Mox Diamond. The reason being that these are kind of nice and it lends itself nicely to this commander is the Moxes, they force you to trade cards away in order for you to get a very powerful effect. This replaces those cards, ideally in a revolution of the table. Playing these effects almost doesn't hinder you, hardly at all. But that's why those are in here. Those are our game changers. There's not exactly a lot of like green and white game changers that really interest me that offer a synergistic purpose. These are 2 of my 3. And then we do have the Walking Ballista combo to close out games if we don't win, which is good old-fashioned combat damage, which I feel like 9 times out of 10 that's how this deck wins, is we get a creature that stacks counters on itself. That's the main goal, but if we get to the point where we are in late game and that becomes less likely, then the Walking Ballista is plan B. We do have a life gain package because other than like individual cards putting counters on our stuff, there are tons of white creatures that do this. We have stuff that triggers on our opponents all the time, like the Authority of the Consuls, Soul Sisters. And then we got some cute stuff like Blade of Blood Chief. Whenever a creature dies, the equipped creature gets a counter thrown on it. Same with Tarian Soul Cleaver. Predatory Hunger is also a really good enabler where we just need this to make it happen. Whenever someone casts a creature spell, we get to throw a counter on an enchanted creature. Should happen all the time. We do have a lot of tutors in this list because green is one of the best at tutoring stuff. And there are a lot of creatures in our deck that are self-sufficient at enabling us to draw a card every turn. So I focused very heavily on the tutors. Worldly Tutor being about our 3rd game changer in our list here. And then we got the Pride Mates, like this guy, Essence Channeler, Voice of the Blessed, Trelisara. Leonardo does that too, so I guess 5. The downside about these cards is we need a life gain enabler, which we got a handful of. We already saw 4 of them at the beginning of our deck build, just in our 1-drop slot. So we also have Ariok Champion. We also have things like Scavenging Ooze and Lion Sash. As long as we have mana to sink into them and permanence to exile, we will put counters on themselves, triggering Leo and Mikey to draw us cards. If Archive of Zogma is also a life gain trigger whenever someone searches their library, which happens all the time in this format. People tutor a lot. And then other significant stuff. Because we are a life gain list, Sylvan Library gets a little extra edge where you keep -8ing enough and then 5 turns go by, you have to think twice about doing it again. And with a life gain package, we could kind of be more neglectful than the average player can. A new card that's coming out that also interests you is probably the Ooze. In a weird way, it kind of functions like the Ozolith. Whenever a creature with a counter on it dies, we make X mutagen tokens, where X and them are counters that were on that permanent. Mutagen tokens are perfect for our list because that enables us to throw a counter on something every turn, i.e. draw a card every turn. This is exactly what we want. It also can make mutagen tokens by hating graveyards. We have 3 pieces, so I feel like if we have to play against a graveyard list, they're gonna have a somewhat of a hard time because we'll just be handpicking all their key pieces out just passively, which is kind of funny that they're in here for synergistic reasons, but we kind of hose them pretty bad in this list. We have more effects that enable putting counters on our stuff every turn, like Mana Gorger Hydra, Patrolling Peacemaker. This is whenever an opponent commits a crime, we proliferate. People target other people's stuff all the time, so that's why I think it's pretty darn consistent. Gideon's Avenger, whenever a creature becomes tapped, we throw a counter on it. Aerith Gainsborough, this is another one of those, we gain life, throw a counter. And we have Elenda's Hierophant, Heliod's Suncrown, and the Destined White Mage. They all do this. Destin White Mage and Heliod combo with Walking Ballista because we give them life link and then we just blink people off to death. We have other life gain enablers like Life Gift. Whenever land comes into play, we gain a life, so it should happen ideally every single turn. We have some sick card advantage with Kutzel. Whenever one or more creatures control power greater than the base power deals damage to a player, we draw. Since we're a +1/+1 counter theme, that's easy to enable. We also have Steelbird Champion. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, we throw a counter on it. Really darn good. Terra Symbiosis, I'm probably not going to get as much mileage out of this as the average person, but it's basically like a Mikey and Leo for 3 mana. Exemplar of Light, this is one of our end game kind of like +1/+1 themes. It's not that efficient because it costs 4 mana, but I kept it in here because it nets us a card every turn. A Forgotten Ancient gets us a counter every time someone casts something. We have Spike Weaver. As long as we have excess mana at our disposal, we can enable getting a counter on everybody's turn that way. It's very inefficient because it costs us 2 mana. We remove a counter from Spike Weaver. We throw the counter back on Spike Weaver. If you want to pursue win conditions about life, that might be an easy shoehorn, like a plan C, like the Felidar Sovereigns or the Test of Endurance kind of effects. But I don't like things that do nothing. Test of Endurance just sits there, and then people have a whole revolutionary turn to interact. I feel like winning that way is incredibly hard. We got Sunscorched Regent and Thundering Nightmare. Both of these trigger when our opponents cast spells. We get to throw counters on our stuff.
I drink your milkshake.
And that brings us to the end of the list. The curve is very low. It's 1.34. So I might be kind of playing with too many lands at 37, but I'll let people determine that for themselves. Pretty quick and easy deck tech. I had fun building this. As somewhat challenging it was to make this happen every single turn, I made it pretty darn consistent. So for those of you interested in it, I hope you like what you see. I'm going to be doing at least 2 more deck techs after this one. The next one's going to be Raph and Mikey, the one that's just cheat stuff from our deck into play. And I'm having a lot of fun building that too. So everyone take care. Have a great night. Bye.